Star Trek, the ultimate franchise. These are the voyages of 3 veteran Trekkies, Rich, Ian, and Toby. Their ongoing mission? To explore the vast Star Trek universe, to seek out new perspectives and fresh debates, to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. Beyond the Final Frontier.
Welcome to Beyond the Final Frontier, a Star Trek podcast with me, your host, Rich Matthews, and my fellow intergalactic Voyagers. At the end of our first season, Mr. Ian Spelling.
Hello, everybody.
And Mr. Toby Weidman.
Hello.
I don't know if you guys have realised, but our first season is going to be 26 episodes, which feels very pleasing.
And very next-gen-ish.
Exactly. Yeah, 7 seasons of 26 episodes. That's what we've got to aim for.
Almost like we planned it. But then season 2 will be 10 episodes long and season 3 will be 5. So.
Yeah, well, there'll be a podcaster's strike.
But our budget will go up each episode.
Yeah, that's true. So this episode, our season finale, which sounds very grand.
Dun, dun, dun!
Yeah, we're going to do our roundup for sort of second half, sort of a bit less, but second half season review of Starfleet Academy, and have a quick ponder about our thoughts on our first season ourselves, our own first season, and Toby has got a little game review about the new Voyager game. So without further ado, we are reviewing episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10 of Season 1 of Starfleet Academy, which is, I already forgot how to say Cosine, which is it? I can't remember. Life of the Stars, 300th Night, and RubinCon. Am I right in thinking there was a Discovery episode called Rubicon? I know this is deliberately RubinCon, but I'm pretty sure there was a Discovery episode called Rubicon.
Wasn't there a shuttle craft called Rubicon?
Mm-hmm. Or a runabout.
Oh, runabout, yeah.
I think it was a runabout, wasn't it? Because it was where they did all those Amazonian rivers and things.
Yeah.
Cool, right. So, who wants to go first on episode 7?
I thought it was an interesting episode. It was very character-driven. It more or less felt like, joking about 26 episodes, it felt like a bottle episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, it felt like relationship-centric for Genesis and Caleb and Jaden and Darum. It gave me Amok Time vibes with the whole wedding element as well. And the fact that he was kind of, for lack of a better phrase, a forced marriage, a match, whatever you want to call it.
But also Spock Amok as well, because that has the extra bit of people on the ship, like just messing about.
I didn't mind it at all as a relationship-building episode. Here's my issue with the episode. Here's my issue with the season. Here's my issue with 10 episodes of any show. This was a good episode. It wasn't a great episode. In 26-episode season, this would be a perfectly fine episode for building things out. In a 10-episode season, and again, it's not a criticism of the show, it's more addressing what production is today in the streaming world. Every episode needs to stand out if you're only going to do 10. This one was good, but it didn't stand out. This isn't one you needed to say to everybody, hey, this is the one you can't miss. But it's an important episode in the sense that it does logically, no pun intended, build the relationships between, 4 of the core characters on the show.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And to reflect what you've just said, if it's a bottleneck, it's the most expensive bottleneck episode ever made, because its production values are still crazy.
But I guess all that stuff on the Keonian moon, though, would have just been using the big back projector, right?
VR screen.
The volume.
Yeah.
They still got to make all the assets, though.
But the sets for that marriage moon or whatever it was were quite basic. It was just sort of pillars and a fire pit and a seat. It wasn't like...
The tell with the volume is normally to look at the floor, the ground, to see if there's slightly obtrusive mid-depth of fields, things around where the edge would be, and there was a lot of that. So I do agree. My thing is exactly that. I think that it was a good breather episode. If it's on every week for 2/3 of a year, yeah, you sit there, you can kind of enjoy it. But it also, as well as being one of only 10, it was too long. It was that age-old thing. It doesn't need to be an hour. It really doesn't.
But, so this would be the thing that I would say on this is, to me, this felt very like TNG's Family coming immediately after Best of Both Worlds. But that had 3 different story parts. And I wonder if they'd had a 3rd part to this. Maybe it follows Sam and her journey in getting fixed. Something like that. One of the problems with this, scenes felt very slow and drawn out. I don't think it was helped by the direction, which was very, very flat.
I could have cut the slug stuff out.
The warp slug, yeah. I mean, I guess that was thrown in for comedy value, wasn't it? And I think if you had three variety of storylines, maybe it would have filled that hour better.
Maybe.
Or it would have been an even longer episode. Because to put anything extra in would mean either extending the episode or cutting some of the other storyline.
Well, I would have cut some of the other storyline.
I know where you were going. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think Ian's right. I think they wouldn't cut to fit. They would just add. Which is the common problem. It's like, no, you just... Yeah, a good C storyline for about 15 minutes would have made that... I agree, would have worked better, but they'd have just made it baggier rather than tighter. I still don't understand how that process worked, and that's what's slightly worrying about the fact season 2 is already shot. They won't have learned anything from the viewership.
That is a concern, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to get whatever this was going to always be.
Well, not to jump ahead, but if season 2 is as good as the finale, then we're good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I thought with this episode, given the fact that the story split was following Genesis and Caleb and then Jaden and Darren, I don't think I really learned a huge amount about those characters, given that they had this space to explore.
You're supposed to with Darren, but it doesn't feel. It gets reset at the end again.
For Genesis, it's that she's afraid of failure, but we've had that before, and with Darren, it's that he's making some selfish choices because he wants to fulfill his own expectations rather than live up to, the expectations that are being put on him. But that's also something that has been explored before. So I don't really feel like I got too much additional stuff to their characters.
Tobes, when you say done before, do you mean on the show with these characters,
on
or
the show?
As in, yeah, they have played the beats a little bit before as well. I agree.
So this is what I don't feel I learned anything extra about the characters. I wanted to. I mean, there was a little bit with Genesis, and that she's actually a bit more fun in terms of like, although I thought it was a bit silly, the kind of like sticking the hand in the toxic or non-toxic game. But at the same time, at least there is more of a fun side to her, where you think of her as being kind of like quite, she's the SWAT of the class, isn't she?
To mirror what you said about jumping ahead, Ian, I came out of this going, man, they've got to give Tig Notaro something better to do because she's so good. And it was just like, oh, is this all she's going to get? And then, thankfully, she got some proper work later in the finale. But yeah, I agree with that. I agree with everything both of you said. I mean, so if I was going to give it a mark out of 10, it'd be a 5. It's not bad.
I'd be a 6. 6.25.
It would probably fall into the 5 category for me as well.
You heartless bastard.
The thing I liked the most about this episode was Caleb struggling to contact Tarima. Yeah. Because I thought that was very relatable and actually believable to his character.
I thought you were going to say it was his shirtless scene.
Blimey. Don't we all wish, boys?
That was actually his head on my body. I went out and they had a green screen for me. Yeah, it was fun.
Maybe controversial.
Oh.
I was a little disappointed that Jaden was made out to be gay so soon in the season. I was quite enjoying up to this point the is he, isn't he aspect of it, and his relationship with Kyle and what exactly is, and also Darren. And, university is a time for experimentation, so I thought they were kind of playing into that a little bit, but they seem to have decided to lean into it kind of a bit more explicitly.
10 episodes, 10 episodes, 20 episodes.
Yeah.
Toby, I'm going to disagree with you on that, just in the sense that they more or less set it up that he was gay. And I think he accepts that he's gay. So there's no arc there for him to have this inner awakening that he's gay. I think he just, here he is, and here's an opportunity to meet somebody of interest, and let's roll.
I think they'd had some elements of ambiguity in there up to this point.
I don't know. I don't feel strongly on this either way, really. Talking about strong opinions, let's move on to episode 8, The Life of the Stars. And I think I'm going to cede the floor to Toby.
I don't think that's a wise idea because I've literally written an essay of notes on this.
Give us the Reader's Digest version.
Yeah.
In summary, I didn't like this episode at all. I found it pretty patronizing and in general quite asinine. And I realized that is going against pretty much everyone else's opinion on this episode. Yeah, I didn't like either the A or B plot. I have problems with both. I mean, do you really want me to go through it? Because I'm not joking when
Give us the highlights.
Okay, I don't know the play Outtown.
Okay.
Or the playwright Thornton Wilder.
Oh, really?
I wonder if that is a set text in the US, because I don't think it is over here.
I've seen it and read it.
It's a big deal. I mean, I was in the play as one of the townspeople back in high school.
Basically, I had no connection to it, so I didn't know what the thematic elements of that play is and how it related to the story. And I don't think the show does a particularly good account of explaining it. The only thing I really got from it was carpe diem, seize the day, live your life, and enjoy the little moments because they don't come again. That sort of seemed to be what it was, but I didn't get any feeling of depth to it. I didn't like the suggestion that theatre is a cure for all ills. I think art can be transformative, can be restorative, but I didn't like the fact that all the different traumas that those students were going through, it was a one-fix-all. It felt like snake oil flim-flam.
Whoa.
I think theatre can have, it's a great way to explore the human condition. It can help bond people through shared experience and all of that. It can be therapeutic, no question of all that. But one play fixing all of them, not just our main characters, but there were 3 randoms in that class as well for some reason. I'm not a big fan of Tilly, never connected with her, so I had no emotional impact on her showing up. I also question, unless I'd missed something in Disco, whether she's the best person to treat young people who are going through trauma.
You didn't miss anything.
Surely a therapist would be better at that, or the doctor. I know they take the doctor away. I didn't really understand why Tarima was so upset. I can understand being taken out of the War College. I don't understand the decision to take her out of the War College. Her problem seemed to be that everyone was looking at her weird and scared of her. And other than a couple of students who, when she first shows up, do that, no one else does that. Caleb smiles at her. Sam's friendly to her. Genesis is friendly to her. I'm going to be super critical and say I thought her drunk acting was awful. It's one of the worst bit of drunk acting I've ever seen. And up to this point, I think she's been good. So yeah, I don't really know what to say about that. Also, I didn't believe that all the students would be so upset by the Vulcan's death in the previous episode, because he was a dick and none of them liked them. I've known people who have died who I didn't particularly like, and my response has been, oh, that's sad. Carry on.
Any death is sad, but...
Yeah, I feel sorry for the friends and family, but it doesn't really impact me. So
okay.
I think everyone should have been reacting differently. I think some of them should have said the play was just pointless and, carried on that. Why are we doing this as a waste of time?
Well, I think a character or two did say that.
Yeah, but then you're completely shut down by saying, oh, if you don't engage with this class, then you're failing. I mean, what sort of lesson is that teaching?
True. Okay. Right.
On to the next part of it, which is the Sam plot. So I got really triggered by the fact that the Doctor refused to hold Sam's hand. I didn't believe his reasoning that he was so upset by an event that happened 800 years ago, as impactful as that might have been, that he would just refuse to hold her hand. I thought that was absolute bollocks. I hated the montage scene. of the, I'm going to call it the EMF, Emergency Medical Father.
Hollywood hokey.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Toby Weidman Hates the Life of the Stars
The thing is, I hate using the word hate because I think that's too strong a word, but I just really...
But that's actually, what do they call that? A double negative, which means you actually do like it.
I'm gonna say one positive, and I thought the direction in this episode was very good, which is mad because it's the same director as the previous episode, Cosine, Andy Armaganian. I thought the last episode was directed, it was really dull in its direction. This was actually quite exciting, and I liked the use of shadows and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was really good. That's my one positive from this whole episode. I really didn't like it.
So you didn't like it, Toby?
Right. My takeaway is he did not like it. All right, I'm going to jump in. I did not love the Our Town element. I do believe it left out too many people, because the episode, for those of us who do know it, it does carry a little bit of emotional baggage that the episode, for somebody who hasn't seen it, doesn't understand. But for those of us who do know it, it does do some of that heavy lifting.
It fits.
For the episode. It does. But to do that as a standalone episode, we'll probably never see another play again. If you're going to set it up that way, maybe make a theater group as something within the show. I like Mary Wiseman as Tilly, and I actually like Tilly as a character, but I felt this felt very shoehorned in. Why her? I get the former cadet teaching cadets. Interesting little concept there.
But they're all former cadets.
Exactly. At one time or another, they were all cadets. So passing the torch type of thing, again, I get it. I just didn't think it was the best use of the character or the actress. I had big issues with some of her dialogue. So get excited, little chickens. Little chickens? What is that? I was like, I literally wrote down, really? It was just bizarre to me. My biggest issue was I thought that the Sam storyline should have been the A storyline.
Same.
They really took an A storyline and made it a B storyline. And I thought that the A storyline wasn't as interesting as the B storyline. I didn't have any issue with the drunk scene. I thought it was played to the hilt, and it seemed to work for me. It was exciting visually. But, you hear me complaining about some of the dialogue on the show. Here we had no shit, we had buckle up, we had don't be a dick. I'm sorry. Again, we're watching an R-rated Beverly Hills 90210. I don't like that. I do love the line, the only thing that allows me to bear my infinity is not having to love anyone.
Yeah, it's a good line.
The doctor's line. But I do agree with you, Toby, on the element of 800 years have passed. He had to make connections with other people somewhere along the line. So it does seem fairly arbitrary that he won't hold her hand. It worked emotionally for me to a degree, but the more I thought about it and I rewound that scene, it just felt a little heavy-handed, no pun intended there. And then the line, the thing that caught my eye is, do Klingons not cover their noses when they sneeze? Did you guys catch that?
No, actually I didn't. I watched it 3 times.
Look for it. It was just really weird.
I don't think anyone covers their noses when they sneeze these days. It's really disturbing to me.
I agree with both of you, which is weird.
I'm interested in what you think, because you said...
I'm really not interested in what Rich has to say. I think we should just go on to the next episode.
No, well, we're back to the status quo.
But he said he watched it first time and enjoyed it, and then on second view, and I want to know what changed between those 2 viewings.
And I watched it a third time.
Okay, right.
And it changed again. But one thing I would say, at the center of I agree, I don't even think they do have an A and a B plot. I think they're both A plots, and that's problematic. That's the reason it doesn't work. They're 2 A plots competing. They lean on the teen one in the edit. I don't think, it doesn't feel like an A plot and a B plot in a traditional Star Trek structure, or even, So I think that alone is flawed. It's like they took 2 episodes and squeezed them together. And that's not very good. So first time, I really liked it. Second time, hated it. Third time, I'm in the middle. Which is to say, now I did watch it again, Toby, based on what your comments when we briefly chatted about it. So I may have put my Heartless Bastard goggles on when I watched that.
Okay.
But ultimately...
The HBGs.
Yeah, the HBGs.
We're going to save that for next season.
Available now on social media. Order you, eh?
What you got to say, HGB? We're going to market those. We're going to get those goggles.
So the first time round, I found it quite moving. But I'm an easy mark for parent stories. So it could have been that. The second time, I really hated the theatre stuff. As someone who's acted a lot, in my youth especially, and some of the most supportive communities and sort of cathartic experience I've had have been through doing plays, I get it. But it's the out of the blue. Tilly showed no interest in anything like this on Discovery. There was nothing. It's like they needed someone to do that. That was their premise. For whatever reason, they hadn't put Mary Wiseman in it, who I do agree with Ian, I like very much. She's always better than her character's writing, for me. She has a glow, an effervescence, which lifts whatever she's in, and this is a good example. Her best beat in the episode for me was the dinner scene where she hugged Reno. That I really liked. And that felt very organic and like a real relationship. It also, though, that whole stuff, yet again, shows that I don't think Holly Hunter should be a main cast member. I think she should be a recurring, a special guest person, because when she's just used, she's sort of, you didn't need her there. You had Reno, you had Tilly, and you could have had Thok. You didn't need Holly Hunter's character. You didn't need the Chancellor. And she pays off later in the big episode. She's of great value, but in these, as we say, slightly non-eventful episodes.
Yeah, but she's the star of the show.
The only thing I would argue with that is that she has to be with the Doctor in cask because she's the only one who understands the longevity aspect.
Which I agreed with the first time, but the thing that struck me...
Then the second time you didn't, the third time you were in the middle?
The third time, I realised there's an oxymoron at the heart of the Doctor's storyline, which is why it doesn't actually work, which is you've got a character whose race means he can't die, all about his mourning others of his race dying. That doesn't make sense. And it's asking, and it's trying to do everything. So his whole situation is I'm numb. I've closed my walls because I'm living, and it's actually because I lost a hologram daughter, and now I've got another potential hologram attachment, and she's already overloading, even though the cask holograms are supposed to be more sophisticated than him, and yet they can't fix her matrix, and that was the problem with it. I really enjoyed watching that story the first time. I found it very moving. It fell apart on subsequent viewings, and it didn't ever fully reassemble. It's my big thing is always the big idea, the BI in Star Trek. It's got to be there, and it is one. But it's like they don't think it through. They don't work it. They don't work that in the room, and it's just like, you need that to be watertight. You need to know what that concept really means, which is unfortunate. I really enjoyed Caleb and Tarima again. I'm afraid I didn't mind her drunk thing. They often, for me, those two are the saving grace, and they're using them very well. But generally, to round off what I think, I've said this to both of you before, this show is being saved by the actors.
Yeah, no problem with the actors. No problem with the actors.
To an actor, I think they're great. And they're lifting material that doesn't deserve to be quite this good. Consistently. Whether that's... I think Mary Wiseman is good in this episode and given pretty sort of cod theatrical doggerel to go through. But then if you jump ahead to Tatiana Maslany in her last two in the season, she nails it, and she is worth so much value on screen with her emotion. But is that by accident? It can't be, because it's uniformly well cast, pretty much, and most people work. They have their ebbs and flows. So you've got to. That's where the show starts. This is where it started to feel like a real contradiction. They've really got the raw materials. They really, really do. And so that's what makes, and this is why I think, mirroring what you said, Ian, about the language, the dialogue, that's when it makes that more frustrating. Because look what you've got. I think they've got the best Star Trek cast, potentially, of all the new Treks. Genuinely. But it's sort of not, and so you just wish, oh man, I can just imagine what you could do with it. So overall, out of 10, I'm going to sit on the fence, which makes me boring because I gave the last one 5. I'm going to give this one 5. It went 7 to 5 from my viewing.
I'm going with 5.
So I gave episode 3 a 2.
Yeah.
And this can't beat that. So I've got to give it a 1.
So is this the worst episode of the season for you?
I think this was one of the worst episodes of Star Trek I've seen in a long time.
Your voice cracked, and that's what saved that level. Is you're emotional about it.
Halfway through it, I started getting very angry, and that's only happened once before, which was when I saw the finale. I keep going back to it, but I saw the finale of season 2 of Disco, where I was actually raging, and I could feel myself getting that way. So I stopped watching and went and did something else for a little bit, and then came back to it. And then yesterday I watched it again, all in one go, just to see.
So that's like me with the episode Masks of the Next Generation.
It's very like that.
I wanted to throw stuff at the screen, but I didn't feel that strongly about this episode. I just thought it was okay.
I just wanted to add one other thing. One of the biggest problems with this episode for me is that, so the characters have had these different types of traumas, but traumas nonetheless. And this episode basically resets them, all of them.
Yeah, it's a reset button episode, yeah.
All back to square one, and everything's fine after this.
Well, no, Sam isn't back to square one. See, that's where I would disagree with you. Sam is the one character who gets through line.
She changes, yeah.
So she's different.
But
So
what I mean is that, yeah, all right, okay, I'll give you that one. But everyone else.
Oh,
right.
Come on! I want to get to episode 9 because we have more glitter vomit.
Yes.
Yay!
All right, we're going to get episode 9, 300 tonight. I'll kick off for this one, so we're all taking turns to go first. This was, this felt like the last couple of episodes we watched for the first 20 minutes, and then it tipped into what we then fight towards what we get in the finale, which was a really interesting thing. I could feel it getting better as it went along. You're like, oh, okay. And as anything, you've got Frakes in charge. Frakes knows, we know he knows Trek inside out. We know he's a good, safe pair of hands. And he gets a bit of propulsion in this episode. So, overall, the only thing about this, the only sort of main criticism is this is J.J. Abrams' MacGuffin stuffing a go-go. And it climaxes at the end with a different version of the big red ball of MacGuffin stuffing that Abrams put in and Kurtzman was part of putting in Star Trek 2009. That was the big ball of red matter, which was a paraphrase of a great big energy ball from Alias. Now we've got a see-through big red alien ball at the end of this with the minefield. But I started enjoying it again, is the way I'd put it. And I think that's going to be my thread generally. A lot of the problems are still present, but you bring Titania Maslany back, and when you get to that final moment, and then they're trapped outside, and the cadets are on the bridge, and that's really nice. And I was waiting. I wanted to see the next episode. The only other sort of critical thing I would say about it really is stop trying to be Star Wars. They did it on Picard season 3 as well. They keep sending people into ostentatiously grungy futures. You know, the marketplace in this case. Like, yeah.
Which was exactly like the episode with Clint Howard of Discovery, by the way.
Yeah, and it looked like the one with Worf on the planet with Michelle Hurd in Picard.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, give us a break.
Maybe it's the same planet.
Well, it just looks like someone's got a 3D simulation of Blade Runner, which they just add different skins to.
Oh, hold on. I'm not accepting that. One of the best set designs ever for a film, and you're comparing it to that? No.
That was a good one, wasn't it, Ian? Do you like that one?
It was, and I do find that Blade Runner
I'm already in a fucking mood, you guys.
is overrated. We'll cover that in another podcast.
So there you go. Overall, yeah, it gained enough momentum, and everyone was being used nicely in the last third. And I was doing that thing of going, oh, there's a chance this finale will be good. So as a bridge between the last couple, it did its job. And I think a lot of that probably goes down to Frakes, who knows how to direct propulsive Star Trek.
Well, he has to direct what's written, so let's give some credit to the writers.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just Christian Byers and Kenneth Lynn, isn't it?
My humble opinion on it, I do really like this episode, actually. It brings Caleb's search for his mom to a head, and that mostly worked for me. I appreciated when he turned on his friends, because does he mean it? Is he lashing out in the moment to protect them or himself or his mother, right? Or is it all of the above? Is he, really lost in the moment, doesn't understand what he's doing or saying? Is that just him being scared and inexperienced? Is it him literally protecting himself in the event anything happens to his friends? Or does he not care about his friends? And his friends don't know, except for Sam, who just refuses to accept that he's meaning what he's saying. And I thought that was a nice character moment for them, especially the hug. I kind of bought that. I thought the action worked really well. But again, the vomit glitter drives me up a wall. I just think it's such a hoary cliche and just dumb. Now, this is a flex when Sam says that line. Come on, that's 2025.
Clearly had never watched Battlestar Galactica or Picard.
That drove me up a wall. This scene after the mom leaves, after Anisha leaves, the characters are hiding from being found, and they're screaming at each other. I'm sorry. Anybody could hear them, especially if they're being looked for.
They could have at least done it like this, couldn't they? They could have just at least done it in this sort of,
Right, they could have whispered instead of shouting at each other. And then I saw lots of debate about this, and I tend to agree with it. I had a big issue, and to your point, by the way, about the last, third of the episode setting up the finale. My issue with the last third of the episode setting up the finale is it took Starfleet Academy-based storylines. Hey, these are kids getting to know each other, young adults, forming their talents and camaraderie and, going to be officers in Starfleet and all of that. And it drops them into, oh boy, we got to save the world from, a villain who wants to burn it all down. That is what the final third of the episode is all about. So I thought that was just... I feel mixed about it. Yes, we've got to build to something. Yes, we've got to take the kids and put them into a real world situation. Part of me wonders if that was too big, too soon for the kids, because now all of a sudden you've got the Kirk situation with Pike sitting there talking to him. All right, young man, now's your time to shine. Take the chair, right? Literally, in the next episode, we have a couple of characters taking the chair. I think it's too big a payoff too soon. In some respects, it's the Kobayashi Maru in real time and for real. I like a lot about it. I thought, as usual, Frakes did a very good job of directing, as you mentioned, but I do have issues with it. I just thought it was literally 8.5 episodes of the show we had seen, and then it's going to be an episode and a half of Let's Save the Universe.
That's because I would go back to my previous point about, though, that the only reason I don't bump on that as much as I completely agree, but I would have bumped on it more. But I think they did a good job of establishing that this is because Starfleet Academy has only just been reformed, and the Federation is still very much on the back foot, and all the tensions surrounding it are really high still. That they would be closer to that, the equivalent of almost a war footing. When fresh people get conscripted and get sent into war zones who aren't ready. So I do agree, because I totally agree about the stakes, which is to go, where are you going to go now in season 2? But I do think they've done a good job of the scenario, the world building about that I didn't bother me that much.
Okay, I respect that.
I think this should have been the season finale.
What, and ended on the cliffhanger?
Yeah. What you would put into the 9th spot, I don't know. Maybe you split this episode up into 2 parts. Essentially they did split this up into 2 halves. It was a little formulaic for me, but otherwise I thought it was pretty enjoyable. Like you, there are things that bother me a little bit. I don't like the fact that the Athena, it only takes 3 people to fly it. I know that's probably a budget thing, that they couldn't hire the bridge crew to come back in, but it just seemed a little bit unbelievable.
Reminded me of Prodigy, though.
I hadn't seen the Prodigy yet. It's still on my list.
That's
to watch,
sort of
but
what Prodigy is like, ultimately.
Right.
5 people find the ship.
I thought the Omega 47 mines is one of the most ridiculous plot devices in the whole of Star Trek. There have been some bad ones in the past, but I think this is right up. I just didn't buy into it. And I'm sure they could have come up with something better.
Wait, you
and
don't
more
think they
believable.
could put a ring around the entire galaxy, universe,
No.
solar system, pick your phrase? No?
Believe it or not, Ian, no.
But they have so much Omega 47. Come on.
There's been so many arguments of that online. I don't know if you've seen them. People like working out the actual mathematics of like how many mines it would take and how long it would take to do and all this kind of. And people are like, no, it's not a circle. It's more like it's a spheroid. And so that would save time. And it's just like, I don't want to get it. That stuff I can just let fly. It's just, it just felt a bit stupid. But I loved the scenes between Caleb and his mum. I thought they were the best scenes in it. I thought they were actually really emotional.
Yeah, their reunion was really brilliant. That's what I mean. Maslany is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, we'll get into the final episode. What I didn't want to happen, which is sort of what happens, is I wanted her to hate Ake and continue to hate Ake and not to be easily wrapped up. But then let's go into episode 10, shall we?
Well, we need to do our ratings first. So I would give this one ultimately, I think a 6.5, maybe a 7 on a good day.
I gave it a 6.
Really? I liked it a little more than that. I would give it a 7.25 to a 7.5.
Yeah, that's interesting. So on an upward curve. So episode 10, the aforementioned Rubin...
It's on a massive upward curve for me.
Well, that's true. Don't get any nosebleeds with that steep ascent. So RubinCon, which aired, the season finale, which aired on my birthday, which was quite a nice present to get, to be honest.
Happy birthday to you.
So, who wants to start? Ian, you're up.
All right. I'm going to start at the end. I thought this was the best episode of the season by far.
I agree.
I thought it would feature the best performances of the actors and the best chemistry between the actors. And I liked the performances and the chemistry throughout the season. So, you know, this was a capper for that. I thought even the episodes I didn't care for as a whole had moments that were paid off in this. So even our episodes that we're giving 1 or 2 or whatever heartless bastard over there gave it, had moments that you got payoff in here. And I thought that was important. And most importantly, actually, it left me excited for season 2. I am interested to see where they go, who's back, who's not, who's changed, all of that. But let me break some of that down. I thought it was the best use yet of Reno and Tig Notaro.
More is all I can say about it. Yeah.
Well, again, I don't want to overextend her. Too much of a good thing can be too much of a good thing.
True.
Like Lazarus, but shorter. I thought it was a very funny line as well. From Noose, I thought I made a funny laugh. Did not work for me.
Yeah.
Some of the dialogue here, you know, is just, he's like twirling the mustache villain dialogue. And I thought it got a little silly at time. Alicia Mir, come on down. Are we really making a Price is Right reference?
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
1,000 years in the future? I had an issue with that.
Yeah, but we know they have TV now because they had that news stream.
The Chiron, but they had the Chiron on Picard as well.
So they maybe the Price is Right is still going.
Maybe, yeah. With the holographic Bob Barker.
Yeah, exactly.
How many parts of platinum will this stereo go for?
But here's the conundrum. It's you, it's always been you, is a lovely line of dialogue. I didn't take the time to Google the line of dialogue, but I have a feeling that has been in every love story, parent story, in some way, shape, or form, possibly word for word.
Oh, yes, it has been used elsewhere.
Multiple times. You know, and then you got a cute line like, there is no Starfleet anthem, but good suggestion. Aki's line I thought was actually very funny. But here's the big thing for me. This episode was clearly anti-Trump.
Oh, yeah. If we'd had this in our allegory, on our allegory episode, this would have been one of the, you cite it as a clumsy one. Effective but clumsy.
Yes, you could sit here with Omega 47, all right? He's number 47 as the president.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 47 has been a Star Trek thing going back many, many, many years.
Yeah, it's a number, isn't it?
But funny how it's so timely now. So I just want to acknowledge that we've had, 47 in the past, so it's not new. But I just thought, what was the line? An angry child with his finger on the trigger. Is this who you want to follow into the future? All of that is very, very on the nose about what's going on in 2026.
It's ripping off the nose and it's sticking out the noses and hats on the nose and hats on the nose.
And it felt a little too on the nose, too modern, too current for my taste. But that said, and remember, this is the same director, Olatunde, who directed Section 31. So he's very good at directing fast-paced, chaotic stuff. He's very good with the character stuff as well. Section 31 was arguably the worst Star Trek we've pretty much ever seen.
Up for 5 Razzies at the moment, isn't it?
Yes,
That's
it is.
this weekend. Yeah.
It does have that spot that you shared about. It's one of the worst episodes you've ever seen, Toby. Section 31 is the bottom.
Oh no, I have seen Section 31. Remember?
Yeah, it is the nadir of Star Trek, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
And Spock's brain, and then maybe Section 31. But I thought he nailed this episode. And like I say, I thought it brought it all home. And let's just add the fun little touch with the photos of the characters, the actors young at the very end. I thought was just an awesome touch. Really, really fun and cool stuff that they did at the end of the episode. And I thought, again, payoff. All of the payoffs that I wanted were there. A couple of the characters got the happy ending they deserve. Could you argue it was a little too kumbaya for some people? Maybe. But I don't think we needed to kill off a main character here at all. I just thought this was really a solid episode. Oh, and to your point about Tatiana Maslany, she was fabulous. And I wasn't sure in the courtroom sequence if she was going to play off and, say not guilty or say guilty. And they had me there.
Mm-hmm.
When she said guilty, I was surprised, pleasantly surprised, as a fan and as a guy who's going to watch this critically and talk about it. I was like, really good choice. Her hate for Aki is stronger than her hate for Braca. I thought
But the argument, she is guilty.
Oh, no
she
question.
She did do those things.
She did all of those things.
She's actually being honest as well as letting her own feelings.
Yeah. So I thought that was all really, really good, powerful stuff. And I was very satisfied, even more than I expected to be, by the season finale.
Yes, I agree.
Shall I go next?
Yeah, you go next, Tobes. Off you go.
But just wait. I've got to go pee. Not really.
Oh, that's
one
a
of the
joke.
Worst lines, One of the worst lines in this episode.
Genesis
Why ruin her moment?
Yeah.
Why ruin her moment? She finally gets to sit in the chair and they do that to her. Oh.
And then they cut away.
Captain's sharing that in the 31st century. Shouldn't it be like a Japanese toilet? And just, take care of all that? Can't they beam it out?
Beam the pee out, yeah. Absolutely. I thought this episode was fine.
You're tough, man.
I know, I'm sorry. It just too neatly wrapped everything up with a bow and frills for me. I didn't feel any jeopardy in the episode at all, which is why I think episode 9 would have worked better as the finale for me.
Well, there would have been Imagine Jeopardy if that was where it ended. No, it's not a joke. I mean,
not a TV joke. What is season finale of?
Yeah. I thought there were some plot contrivances that were questionable. Not so bad that you couldn't let them slide, but I think on reflection, it made me go, like how they work out how to deactivate the Omega minefield. It just felt a little bit too easy. And
they were building up to that the entire season. That's one of the things
also,
they dropped the breadcrumbs all along.
Tarima being able to find Anisha just through touching Caleb's hand, I didn't really believe That sort of. I'd say on first time I didn't really think about it.
Breadcrumbs again.
I had no problem with that. Really interesting.
On second time, it sort
Well,
of.
the seventh time I watched it,
Troy did that in Picard, if you remember at the end of Picard. She sensed where they were inside the cube.
Yeah, but they're separated by what? 2 miles?
But she's a super duper mega betazoid, okay?
I know, it's just the little thing. It's that, again, first watch fine, I didn't really think about it, and then when I actually started analysing it a little bit, I didn't like the fact that Anisha and Ake are mates at the end. I just wanted that to carry on a little bit more, and particularly as there's a rivalry of motherhood now between them, and I think they should have fed into more that I think Caleb is Ake's surrogate son after he died. So I would have liked a little bit. I think it's my criticism of the whole series is it's just a little bit too surface layer. I don't feel it goes deep enough.
Wait 1 sec, Toby. Do you think it would have improved the episode if Ake had said to Anisha something like, I think of him as like my own son, and she could have simply said he's not?
I mean, yeah.
That would have lent a layer of drama to it. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
I would have liked a little bit of like just extra
heat
conflict there.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And Caleb being torn because he doesn't know which way he wants to go. At the end, it's all just really easy. He's going to stay there.
Right there, I don't agree with you. I don't think he needs to be torn. I think it would be better just between the two mothers, so to speak. Just to your point of something along.
But who does he support in that? That's what I mean in that
that's
instant.
a B story though. That's an episode unto itself.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree, which is why I was saying here it's just all wrapped up and everything's fine.
No, and this is an hour and 7 minutes. I mean, this was a very long episode.
To back you up though, Tobes, I think the reason is one of the problems. The irony of that choice is that in a modern Star Trek, everything Paramount Plus is so trauma focused. Everyone's traumatized, and it's all about trauma exploration. This was the first time it felt like a real character trauma that would have fit in any Star Trek. And then I agree, they didn't quite realise it as well as they could have.
I think that, and this ties into a more general theme, I think this whole season, a lot of it has been themed around the fact that Starfleet and the Federation isn't perfect and that they have made mistakes and they're trying to make up for that, or they have this ideal. Do they actually live up to the ideal? I mean, you could argue the fact that they were building those Omega-47 weaponry at that secret starbase, that's a little bit dodgy. But here, I think you start saying, well, Nosferatu's got an actual point when he's making his initial argument. And then, oh no, actually, it was your dad caused it, so it's all your fault. And I know what they were doing in terms of trying to make that allegory, but equally, I think it just undercuts a really interesting story that they've had up to this point, that Starfleet isn't perfect and they have failed.
Toby, I totally agree with you to a point. I think you can have both things at once.
I think you can too.
And I think they did. I thought by presenting the argument, and for the record, Anisha never backs down on her side of the argument. It's just that you've got Aki making the argument, hey, look, we are imperfect, but this did happen, and it was your dad's fault that caused this. I mean, look, it's the same child issue.
But it wipes them of any guilt, and equally, there's the whole thing where she.
I didn't catch
where
that.
Where she says to Anisha, "Oh, what about the guy that died on the shuttle that Noose killed?" And she puts some guilt back onto her. And I don't know. It's just like it makes me feel like, oh well.
I don't feel like that nullified it. I genuinely don't feel like.
I do.
I don't think it nullified it. That's how I would argue.
Yeah.
And I think especially for a court case with emotions here between mothers in that sequence and the angry child.
But equally, I don't think a court case is a good setup for a finale for me. That would have made it a really good season 2 opener. To have a court type of episode, but I just this didn't do it for me, which is why I wasn't as engaged with it. But I would say I thought all the performances were pretty good. I did like the fact that all the cadets had something to do, except maybe Jaden, you could argue. that they do save the day. I like that aspect of it as well. I thought the Caleb Tarina aspect had story relevance, so I'm glad that was included. But then the Genesis Sam conflict, which is resolved in 2 minutes, I didn't think that was necessary and needs to be in there. That could have been saved until after the universe had been saved. And I'd also say, I don't think that situation that they find themselves in should be where they should be learning.
Should be applying rather than learning.
Jet Reno should have taken command in that and said, right, you're doing this, you're doing this.
Right.
I think she should have been a little bit more of a commander rather than using it as an excuse to teach a life lesson or some kind of lesson. I didn't think that worked.
See, I didn't get that. I think that all she did was choose a frame of communication that was familiar to them that would de-escalate their own stress. By framing it as a teaching exercise, she actually just needed them to do things. And by doing it that way, it makes it feel less... It bridges to their own experience. All their experience has been in the classroom, apart from one obvious thing, obviously, by two.
Right. Although we haven't seen that.
No, I granted, but...
Well, we haven't needed to because she wasn't in the captain's chair at that point. I happen to have loved that in those moments she was both captain and teacher.
I know. If you're on a sinking ship, do you really want the captain to sort of say, well, this is how you tie a knot?
If a knot needs to be tied, yes.
Nah, I just think tie the knot.
I don't want to be on a ship with you. That's the bottom line.
We're all fucked. Just accept it. Do as I tell you.
Tie your own fucking knot. I can just hear Toby saying,
we don't go on the Star Trek cruise together.
Do you know why we're going to die? Because you don't know how to tie a knot.
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly. I just want to add also that I got my prediction wrong. I did predict that Combadge Girl was going to come in and save the day in the season finale. No sign of her.
No.
So no redemption arc for Combadge Girl, unfortunately.
There's got to be something for season 2. So I'm going to cite something I said about episode 6, which is I accept a lot of what you just said, Toby, but ultimately I watched this and just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than it should have been enjoyable because it's still got a lot of the flaws, a lot of which you've gone into, and a lot of the issues. But it was just a really good piece of low end in Star Trek. Meaning by low end, I mean it's not that intellectual really, and Ian's already said how the allegory is really crude, an allegorical sledgehammer rather than something more subtle. But on that level, it did work for me. I found it moving. I agree with Ian about the ethical moral part between Aki and Anisha, because what I felt was being said was we're all culpable, we're all guilty, but one guilty party, their solution is to wipe out hundreds of millions of people, and they don't really care for you, and they claim they are. We're guilty of doing this, and this, but we're trying to do better. We do care what happens to these people, and we don't want anyone else to die. And that is a core Federation, Roddenberry, utopian ideal that's a sort of step towards it.
In what aspect was the second half of that expressed?
I can't remember. I don't write dialogue down when I'm watching things, but there was that moment where she basically she does say, "You're doing it for this reason. It doesn't nullify what I did. I did do that." She says, I did take your son away, and I will always live with that. I have to carry that around forever. But doesn't say I'm not guilty of that. But if you condemn me, you condemn hundreds of millions of people to death.
I don't remember her saying that. But that did not come across to me at all.
If that came across to you, then that whole sequence, I think, works. If it didn't, I can see why it wouldn't. And it would be problematic. One thing I don't like is how quickly the Doctor disappeared and was sort of dropped, in a sort of ignominious way as well. You know, the last time you saw him really was talking gobbledygook. And
ignominious, good word. That's the word of the day, people.
So it was like, okay, you could have just brought him back in.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the stuff with Reno. I did. And the way I described it earlier is how I felt it went, and I thought that was really smart. And I think that's partly that, though, that the reason I say I want to see more of her, and the reason I feel like Aki, I prefer Reno in that function. I prefer Tig Notaro's performance in that than I do Aki's, because it's an interesting thin line of difference between them, because Reno is very unconventional, isn't she? But some reason it works in a way which the bare feet and the lounging on the chair and things like that doesn't quite as well for me. So that's why I'm saying I think there's a role for the Chancellor and there's the active head of the school, which I think with something like Reno worked very well in that role. And that section for me was the best part of the episode. I'm a sucker for good teamwork, and that's one of the reasons I've always loved Star Trek, is that it absolutely, when it's really working, it's all about cohesion of a team and seeing the strengths in everybody, and I think that really did work. I totally agree that Jaden was just like, couldn't have been, if you didn't have him in the episode it wouldn't have mattered, which is a shame.
I thought that about Darum in the last episode, though. I didn't think he was necessary.
No, but I liked the fact it suddenly coalesced he's going to be the helmsman.
No, in the last episode I'm talking about.
The previous
in this
one.
episode.
Yeah. The glitter vomit one. I know I can see a lot of people really hating on Giamatti because it's too big. I think actually his size of performance is the main reason that Bracco works at all. Because if you didn't have someone prepared to really attack that part, it would be quite meh.
I think my thoughts on him is he was a bit jokey right at the beginning of the season. Then there was some bite shown in episode 6. And then this one sort of fell somewhere in between, and it felt a little inconsistent, maybe. I don't know.
But I thought it was consistent, which is that he did show some bite, but his fatal flaw as a character is that he can't help but be that sidey, that showman, that who wants the thing, and so he couldn't just condemn them, couldn't just blow it up. He had to make a big show of it, and that was his failing and his weakness, and that's why he ultimately was defeated.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, look, his bloviating is what gave time for them to bring down.
Ding for bloviating to steal Johnny and Brent's
yes.
thing. I would put this as a season finale in the current era, up there with the end of season 2 of Strange New Worlds. And I agree with Ian. I was like, yes, okay. Problems with it, but those problems are endemic of the whole show, not this episode per se. Some episode-specific issues, always too long. Just cut 10 minutes out of every one of your episodes. I guarantee they'll all be better. But ultimately, oh yeah, okay. Season 2, come on then. Good. And considering some of the beats we felt and some of the ways we've all reacted to some of the episodes, I mean, both of you, that was a blessing in the end. And as I said, the only thing that's slightly is because if you had the normal hiatus that used to exist, and then the room came back together and started to break the season, they could look at that season finale, the last 2 episodes, and the episodes of work, and know better what makes the show really kick with a bit of audience reaction. That always worked. There's a reason that worked for 50 years of US TV, but they've already shot it. So we're entirely reliant on their instincts as a writing and production team again, which have been inconsistent. But having said that, they've performed at the key moments. I loved the pilot. I loved episode 7. I loved the last 2 pretty much.
You loved episode 7?
No, 6. Sorry.
Come Let's Away.
Come Let's Away. That was great. So that means, okay, we've got another season opener, so in theory, should be great. But again, for me, it's always the same thing. If something's just bad, I can accept it. If something has the potential, the ideas, the people, the talent, the raw material to be great, I do find myself being more critical, because then it's like, oh, come on, it's right there for you.
A lost opportunity.
Yeah,
I get that.
Exactly.
I get
that.
But you have to be careful in ranking stuff. Rankings are opinions, but when we're doing critiques, we do in general have to go with what's there as opposed to what could have been. We can acknowledge that missed opportunities. On the other hand, it's kind of like if your bar is set so low that a crummy episode you consider good just because the other ones were so bad.
Yeah.
And that's any show. I'm not referring to Starfleet Academy specifically by that.
I agree.
Oh, you know what other line bothered the shit out of me that I forgot to mention? That was just me saucing the goose.
Although, do you know why I didn't mind that? Sauce for the goose, Savick. The odds will be even.
Right, and I'm sure in any world, two characters would say that line. Come on.
Just means it's an idiom, man. It's an idiom.
1,000 years apart. That poor goose.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I keep forgetting it's 1,000 years. This episode is, and I would be curious to remember, I would give this an 8.5.
Me too.
A 5.5 for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Ouch.
I preferred the previous episode.
Interesting.
So our overall rankings, and I've rounded these up a little bit. I came in the least with 52.5, so just over half marks. Rich was second, which actually surprises me, with 66. And then Ian tops out with 68.5. Although, I have to say that for episode 5, he did say it was either going to be 7.8 or a 5.5. That was for the episode series Acclamation Bill. So,
well, if you do the average of that, it's about a 6.8.
So Ian and I are the same, basically.
yes.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
So all positive, though, all over half marks. Which, considering I had a 1 and a 2 in there.
Yeah, and some of our concerns, and also the mixed, our responses, which again we haven't done a podcast about, but how we felt about season 3 of Changing Worlds and how generally at least two of us felt about Discovery. That says a lot. We all thought, I think it's fair to say, that this could have been terrible when we saw the early posters and trails. And
well, just not appealing to me. I think that was the thing. So I didn't think it would appeal to me.
And which is what I like about it. I will say this. I had my doubts that this was not going to be a show for me. And I gave it a chance. And while I did have issues with the whole Beverly Hills 90210 element of it.
Stardate 90210.
Yeah, I did really, really enjoy it in general, and far more than I expected to going into it.
I wholeheartedly agree with that assessment. And overall, the first season of Starfleet Academy, for that reason, is a positive for me, and I am looking forward to season 2, and I'm hopeful for where Star Trek might go, probably more than I was before Starfleet Academy.
For me, it falls between Strange New Worlds and Discovery, obviously. I don't hate it, I don't love it. I think that's essentially where I'm at. It's sort of right bang in the middle. I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt at this point. Perhaps this is the most telling. There's no episode from this season that I don't think would make my top 100 episodes of Star Trek.
My favourite episode of the season, I'm not sure I could crunch the numbers in my head to be able to make that sort of statement, but the best episode for me was episode 2. I really liked episode 2.
Episode 6 was my favourite, I think, because maybe it's just because it's the most traditional in terms of its storytelling.
But it's kind of what Ian said, though. The reason I like episode 2 the most, it probably isn't the best, in inverted commas, but it's my favourite because it was what it was, and it wasn't designed for me, but I just enjoyed it. And it was low stakes, actually, to mirror again something Ian said. We were talking about stakes. You don't need to be the end of the universe every single time. You just got to make real human stories.
So on that point, I would say that there were probably some moments in this series, this season, that might make a top 100 list, or even a top 7. If we're doing top 7s, there might be some stuff that I really, really liked and might make that kind of list.
Well, I would put the finale in the top 100.
Yeah, I think so. I think I might as well.
Without question. Again, my humble opinion, the best episode of the season. And if you're going to stick the landing on any episode, you want to stick the landing on the finale. So I'm on board for at least it in the top 100 for me.
But to echo something that Rich said earlier, I do like the characters.
Yeah, and the actors.
Yeah, I think maybe there's too many of them. I wonder whether, trimming maybe one might be a good idea. I did wonder whether, I hope the actor forgives me, but if Daram had been the character that had died in episode 6, whether that would have had more of an impact on the Starfleet students and also on the story itself. Not that I wish that character ill or anything like that.
Dramatically speaking, if it would have had more impact.
But also at the same time, trim down the number of cast, and so...
So I'm going to give you devil's advocate for that. You could, if it is their intention to essentially, through the cadets, because of the way that Darren ended up at helmsman, which I liked, to essentially create a crew and then the legacy characters step back a bit. That could be very good. And the thing I like the most about it isn't the legacy characters, it is the new characters, and that's what makes it better than the Strange New Worlds for me in terms of those things, which is there's still too much, and especially in season 3 of Strange New World, it's Kirk, it's this, it's prequel bridging. This is a new direction, and it's just good enough, and the actors and those characters are just good enough that I'm like, yes, okay, I want more of that, please. Moving ahead.
Let's cover some ground real fast, just looking to season 2. What do you do with season 2? Because do you bring Nusbraka back in any way, shape, or form, or is his story done? Remember, he was announced as the season 1 villain, which had me thinking they might kill him off. They didn't kill him off. Do you bring Tatiana Maslany back in any way, shape, or form in season 2?
I bring her back.
That could be a drop-in guest appearance for an episode or 2 here, or even a view screen type of thing. And are we doing one school year per season?
I would guess so, yeah.
Yes, I think we are. Like Buffy.
That's the other question. So they're not taking seats on a ship yet. They're really not.
I think I'd like to see them explore the Venari Rel a little bit. I don't think they were given much thrift other than Nusbraka. That world interests me a little bit in terms of who they are. What are they? Are they just pirates? Are they the new Orion pirates? I can't remember the name of them, but the enemy vampire bat type creatures from 6 would be interesting to see more of them. I want to see the kids learning, essentially. I want to see a little bit more of that. I want them to show that they are learning how to be competent. We're not just, they just are competent. You know how Wesley Crusher was always messing up when he was on the Enterprise? Like he did lots of great stuff as well, but he also messed up a fair bit and had to learn lessons through that. I kind of want that, but on a grander scale.
So did Jake, so did Nog.
I kind of want to see that side of them. I want to see them excel as well. It's not like I want to see them mess up all the time, but I just want to see a little bit more learning, academic learning interspersed with whatever storyline they go for.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, and to address all of your points, Ian, I wouldn't bring Nusbraka back, but I think they will. I think they will Hannibal Lecter him. I think they will Blofeld him as they did, they did in Skyfall. He'll be in a cell and someone will go and talk to him. Kurtzman has raised his reputation with me through Starfleet Academy to some degree, but he hasn't met a hoary cliche he's not prepared to play to. So I imagine that's what'll happen. I would bring Tatiana Maslany back more, actually. I like what Toby was saying, and I think there might be more of it. I think that was just a season end. I don't think it's the end of that dynamic, especially for Caleb. Because Caleb, if they resolve that completely, Caleb is a bit, what's going to happen with him? But ultimately, I'm not that interested in the Venari Rel. I did like the vampire ones. I want the last part of what you said, Toby. I want the Academy. I want to see those characters. And I've said before, I think they've got a great concept in the Starfleet Academy being the ship that goes places because they're still not fully returned Starfleet. So I think you can have it all. I just don't think you have to have universe, galaxy, Federation threatening threats. If you go back to Wrath of Khan, that was cadets. And the stakes felt enormous, and really it was just one ship. That's where they need to get to again. They need to find those high stakes personal stories with these cadets and use the adults sparingly.
Right, and I don't want a villain, yet again, who has some beef with the Federation.
Agreed. That's got to stop. Overall positive from all of us. Right? Yeah.
Even our curmudgeon.
Yeah.
The fact that I haven't checked out already,
it says a lot. Basically, bring on season 2 of Starfleet Academy. I think we're all looking forward to it. There is real potential, and let's hope that they saw the potential in the material that they already had, because they can't act on anything we're saying. So, quickly then.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention a new game that came out in February, so maybe a little while ago, but it's Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown. It is an officially licensed game, so this won't mean a huge amount to people who aren't gamers, but it's a rogue light survival strategy game. It's essentially you get to play as Janeway, and you get to make all the decisions along the journey when they first get taken into the Delta Quadrant until they get home. It's a resource management game more than anything else, as well as a survival game. The idea is that you go around building up resources to rebuild Voyager that has been damaged. You face challenges along the way. A lot of them are based on actual episodes or moral quandaries from the show. So Tuvix is one of the stories that is in there. Well, this is the thing. You could. This is one of the nice things about this game. I actually really enjoyed it. I've only played the demo, I should say, so I've not played the full thing.
Didn't you kill everyone though?
Well, I killed the camper essentially because
that's right.
at the end of Caretaker story, essentially, I decided to take Voyager home, and I left the Caretaker array to the Kazon.
8 or 9 years. It's like killing flies.
And equally, I decided to turn Chakotay in so that he was arrested when I got back to the Alpha Quadrant.
Wow, really?
I was really just testing to see what could be and what you could do and what you couldn't. And it was kind of fun. I would say there's a lot of text to read, especially early game as you're learning the mechanics. But I do like the fact that they've licensed the music, so you get all the Voyager cues all the way through. They've included some voice talent in terms of Tim Russ and Robert Duncan McNeil, who don't chat all the way through, but they do introduce each sector. You've got 12 sectors basically to get through to get home. The space battle aspect of it, I think, is probably the weakest part of the game. I am actually quite looking forward to getting to it proper and playing a full playthrough and seeing exactly what you can and can't do in terms of, do you follow exactly what Janeway did? Do you go that route, or do you take your own way and maybe play in a bit more of an Equinox?
Yeah, can it be multiplayer?
No, it is single player. One of the interesting things is, say you want to keep Kez, you can keep Kez around, so you can have both Kez and Seven on at the same time. If you turn out to be a bad captain, your crew will mutiny on you, and that'll be the end of the game. I think there's a lot of replayability.
The thing you've described about being able to play existing beats, existing moments, that does appeal to me more than a lot of games.
Do you destroy the Borg? Do you make that decision? If I was to score it based on the demo alone, I would give it probably a 7. I want to get into it a little bit more, but that might go up and it might go down. If you like the idea of a resource management survival game that's set in the Star Trek world, I think this is pretty good.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. As we wrap up our thoughts on Season 1 of Starfleet Academy, good time to think about our thoughts on our first season, our inaugural season of Beyond the Final Frontier. And the first thing I like to say is, gents, this has been one of the most fun things I've done in years, so thank you. You're welcome.
I've hated it.
I would give it a 1. I would give us a 1.5.
I'd give it. Guess what? I'd give us a 5 because it's been fine.
Right, Ian just did the version of someone in a sitcom going, "I love you, thank you."
I agree. It's actually been really good fun. Not only has it been fun to do this, it's actually got my creative juices flowing in other directions in terms of creative writing and things like that. So,
and you know what's funny? I like our chemistry. All joking aside, I think we all know our Star Trek. I think we like and dislike different things about Star Trek, different things about entertainment, different things about the way television and writing are done and constructed. And I think the diversity of opinions makes for some interesting conversations. I do like when we all agree, and I do like when we all disagree. I think we have some fun with it. I do like that we can curse and use that as humor and for emphasis in a serious way. I always found that being constrained by niceties and what you are and not allowed to say in certain ways is interesting. I believe also that we're far enough away, in a certain sense, from our quote-unquote Star Trek careers that for the most part we can say what we're actually feeling about certain things and without constraint to a degree. I think that's important for us as well. I like that we got some good guests
Yes.
this season.
Thank you, Ian, for that.
I liked our doctor. I liked our fantasy doctor. I loved having John Eaves on. If you were going to say to me, you could have any character actor from Star Trek on your show, it would be Jeff Combs, and we got Jeff. All in all, I've loved working with you guys and our debates and the humor and our friendships coming through. And we've never done the three of us in any particular, we've done combinations of, working together professionally. And it's been awesome in that regard. I, like both of you, want a larger audience. One, because I think it would give us more reach and be more fun and share our love for Star Trek. And
please like and subscribe and share.
But I really think, the people who are listening seem to really like what we're doing here. There's a lot of podcasts out there. We're not doing a 20-minute podcast. Ours are running at least an hour. And my sense is, I've got several friends who listen to the episodes and they're like, hey, this is good and it's a little bit different. So yay us. And
my highlights, it's hard not to just be starstruck, isn't it, when you think about highlights? But I have to say that Nana and Gates, I mean, all our guests have been amazing, but Nana and Gates were particular highlights for me, because because I'd met Jeff once before. I doubt he'd remember it, but in fact, Toby, we were together, I think, when we met him.
I just
before,
posted the picture of that up on our Instagram. Taken by Ian, the photo.
Yes. So that was, I mean, his conversation was great. What it is that I already knew Jeff wouldn't disappoint. Nana and Gates were just brilliant and gracious and warm. And as we've all experienced as entertainment journalists over time, it isn't always that way. And so it's incredibly life-affirming when people who've had such an impact on you are so open and supportive of what you do.
It's real fast. It's funny you mentioned Nana. She's always been exactly what you just said. So one, I'm glad that, you feel that too. I'm glad you got a taste of what I've known for so many years. Just typically wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was great.
Tove?
I've liked it when we've sort of got annoyed with each other. Maybe that says a lot about my personality. One of my favorites is when Rich put all 7 seasons of Deep Space Nine as number 1, and 4 to 7. Thank you. And I generally got annoyed with that.
I know you did.
I liked it in the Nanar episode where I joked about having to edit Ian's word count down, and he was like, I'm too polite, but I'm thinking fuck you. Makes me smile every time I think about that. I loved the Saviors episode with Larry Nemecek.
Yeah, I was just shout out to Larry. That was he was always going to come on because we love Larry, and he was really good. It was, again, what
I thought it was actually a really interesting thing to talk about, and thank you, Larry, for suggesting that theme for the episode as well.
Yeah, definitely.
That was great fun, and I've kind of enjoyed hearing Rich masturbate over the Enterprise so many times.
I've had to wipe my screen. I know.
It's in the Love and Romance episode where you really go for it, where we all thought you were going to do Ilea and Decker, and no. The love is good.
This lady, man.
Right. If you listen to that episode back again, you can literally hear Ian and myself just going, but not verbalizing it. Just like in our brains, just going, no, he's not. He's really not.
Pregnant pause.
And then you did.
If we could take a triptych photo of the three of us, Toby and I are like, WTF face.
I want a frame grab of every time you said it's a tie of Toby.
The eye roll, yeah.
It's a tie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, let me ask you a season 2 question. We are going to do this again, ladies and gentlemen, for a season 2.
Yeah, we're just taking a little break.
Yes. The question becomes, what do you guys want us to talk about? Please do feel free in any of our comments on social media channels to tell us what you'd like us to hear us bicker about. And then guest-wise,
Who would you love to see?
Yeah.
Now, it's easy enough to say Patrick Stewart. The odds of getting Patrick Stewart are a gazillion to one. But who in the galaxy would be interesting to you? Would you like to hear from the woman from Cat's Paw, who Larry Nemecek, dropping his name again, discovered? Maybe we bring them both on for the episode and have a conversation about it.
Do we get the Gorn and the Salt Vampire on the same episode?
Right. Right, exactly. Do we get Bobby Clark and Sandy Gimple together and do a Guests of Star Trek? We could do that because in August, Creation, when they do the big convention in Vegas, they're going to focus heavily on the 60th with the original series, and they do have a number of guests. I think it's a great opportunity to have some of them come on and maybe together.
Well, equally, I'd like to say, is there any behind-the-scenes personnel that you're interested in as well? Because that's something that we always like talking to the production managers and costume designers and composers and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, let us know. Let us know, essentially, basically, via our Facebook page or Instagram or our email.
Okay, so that's the end of the first season of Beyond the Final Frontier. We hope you've enjoyed it. You've had so many calls to action already. I'll spare you any more, but you can find all the details.
No, I do have one call to action. Do not forget, ladies and gentlemen, that you can get your heartless bastard goggles for sale on our social media channels. Get your HBG ASAP. TY.
Goggles not included.
And I just say you can get your King of Ties tie. That will also be on sale.
Do not tie in a product. Do not tie in a product to me based on what you said. On that, now earning our explicit rating, it's a thank you and a goodbye for season 1. We won't be gone for very long. We'll just have a little rest, and then we'll make sure we flag on social media when we return. And of course, there will be, thanks to Toby, there will be some social media activity in our hiatus. Thank you for joining us Beyond the Final Frontier.
Peace, love, and logic, everybody. Till next time.
Cheers, everyone. And as always, ta-ra a bit.
And thank you.
Thanks for listening to Beyond the Final Frontier, our Star Trek podcast with me, Rich, and my friends Ian and Toby. If you want to get in contact with us, please email us on beyondffpod@gmail.com, or please rate and review us on the platform you're listening. It helps grow our community. You can also check us out on Instagram and Facebook on social media. Huge thanks for our original music to Alex Feidman. And if you search Alex Feidman Composer on YouTube, you can hear the full fantastic theme and more of his work. Also, a big thank you to award-winning voiceover artist Cissy Jones for our brilliant opening voiceover. Find out more about her incredible work on cissyjones.com. And of course, a big thank you for our brilliant artwork to designer Russell Seal, who you can find more about on behance.net/Russell Seal. Thanks again, and see you next episode, Beyond the Final Frontier.